Muy buenas tardes. Damos inicio a las 18:06 de la tarde. Damos inicio a la defensa de tesis eh, agendada para el día de hoy. Le saluda el profesor Cristian Cristóful del Departamento de Lengua Inglesa del Instituto Superior de Lenguas en calidad de moderador. Y tenemos la resolución número 2030/2025 que fija conformación de mesa examinadora de la tesina con el título An Analysis of Foreign Language Anxiety, and the acronym is FLA, in Students Learning English in a Private Educational Institution, a cargo de la autora Alejandra Elizabeth Céspedes Villalba, de la carrera de Lengua Inglesa del Instituto Superior de Lenguas. El día de hoy, martes 16 de diciembre del 2025. En calidad de miembros del tribunal examinador, saludamos a la profesora Valentina Canese, ella es la presidenta de mesa, y a las profesoras Maura Salinden y Carolina Ortiz. Muy buenas tardes, profesoras.
Buenas tardes, contentas de estar acá.
Buenas
Bueno, me
tardes.
alegro. Buenas tardes. Entonces, dejo entonces el micrófono a la presidenta de mesa, la doctora Valentina Canese.
This is being recorded already.
Yes, we're recording.
Okay.
Okay, Alejandra, you have 30 minutes to do your presentation. Okay, we're all ears. You may start now.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Alejandra Cespedes, and my thesis is an analysis of a phenomenon called foreign language anxiety, or FLA, in students learning English in a private educational institution. And my tutor is Romina Juana Bento de Saucedo. So to start, foreign language anxiety can be described as a feeling of uneasiness or apprehension towards the use of a foreign language, and it usually happens in the foreign language classroom, and it can have a very negative impact on language learning, the learner's experience, and communication using that language, and of course their academic performance. So the study is divided in two parts. The first one is a literature review that includes the different aspects of FLA and also the perspectives of different researchers, and a survey called the Short Form Foreign Language Anxiety Scale in a group of students in a private school in Paraguay. So the statement of the problem is that foreign language anxiety is a very complex phenomenon, and the impact that it can have not only impacts the academic performance of students, but it also impacts their communication and the use of the foreign language in many different situations. And of course, that anxiety itself it's very negative for learning. So studying it will help to develop the right strategies and also improve the ones that are already existing. So the purpose of the study is to identify and analyze the levels of foreign language anxiety (FLA) among students learning English in a private school in Paraguay, in Fernando de la Mora specifically. So the main objective of this study is to analyze the levels of foreign language anxiety of students of the 7th, 8th, and 9th grades of students learning English in a private institution, which is a private school that also teaches English as a foreign language, using a survey that's been called the short form foreign language anxiety scale. That's also like SFLCAS. The other objectives are to use the short form foreign language anxiety scale as a tool to measure foreign language anxiety, and to examine how findings can help guide the future developments of strategies and new approaches. The first research question is what are the overall levels of foreign language anxiety that are experienced by these students in this specifically in this private school? And the other questions are in what situations are students more likely to experience foreign language anxiety considering the items of the foreign language anxiety scale that include items that are specifically to speaking or preparation in class. And the other is how the findings can be used to develop suggestions or recommendations for the school and for teachers and school staff in general in order to do something about this phenomenon. So now I'm going to talk about the literature review and review the main aspects of it, and which are definition, causes and consequences, factors that contribute to FLA, its impact, evaluation, and significance. So the definition that I chose is the one developed by a researcher named Elaine Horwitz that defines it as a distinct complex of self-perceptions, beliefs, feelings, and behaviors related to classroom language and learning arising from the uniqueness of the language learning process. And for the causes, many researchers argue that there shouldn't be causes or shouldn't be things that are considered causes, only contributing factors. However, there are other researchers that do think that there are causes of foreign language anxiety, which can be individual awareness of potential risks, which goes in contrast to, for example, feelings of safety in the classroom, lack of confidence, fear of failure, and the educational system's reliance on tests. Others also divided in student-centered causes that can be, for example, the students' own expectations or their learning styles, teacher and instructor-centered causes that can be their own methodologies, and interaction-centered causes that includes the relationship they have with peers, their interactions, and also the cultural connotation in which FLA can happen. And other factors that are also mentioned by Horwitz are communication apprehension, test anxiety, and fear of negative evaluation. And when it comes to consequences, they can impact either the classroom or the future use of the foreign language that include impaired performance, reduced participation, lack of motivation, and negative attitudes not only to learning the language but also using it. So the limitations of the study are that it only focuses on foreign language anxiety. The results may not be generalizable to all populations, and they also deal with the context and subjective experiences of the participants that may not be generalizable either. Or- And the limitations are that the survey was only conducted on students from the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and it only focused on the experiences with foreign language anxiety, and the analysis is mainly quantitative. For the ethical concerns, um, the consent from both parents and students had to be acquired because they were minors. I explained to them that they had the right to withdraw at any point if they wanted to, and that the survey did not connect to their activities in school, like it won't affect their grade, and I didn't also ask for any private information that was not necessary for the survey. And the survey only included relevant questions to the short form foreign language anxiety scale and also a paper sheet with the translation. The survey was conducted with paper sheets, so that's why there was a separate sheet for the translation. So The approach is quantitative, only based on numerical data. Um, it was done in one single day, so it happened all at one specific point in time with the students that were present that day and using the survey and a Likert scale for each item. This is an instrument. It was developed by another researcher named McIntyre, and it has 8 items, which are even if I am well prepared for foreign class, I feel anxious about it, which deals with preparation. I always feel that the other students speak the foreign language better than I do. That deals with the comparison between peers. I can feel my heart pounding when I'm going to be called on in the foreign language class, which has to do with the physical symptoms that FLA can cause. I don't worry about making mistakes in the foreign language class, which is reverse coded in contrast to the other ones. And the following one is too. I feel confident when I speak in the foreign language class. Then I get nervous and confused when I am speaking in the foreign language class. I start to panic when I have to speak without preparation in the foreign language class. And it embarrasses me to volunteer answers in my foreign language class. And these last three have to do with specifically with speaking. And the survey is called short form because there is another survey that has 33 items, and this one only has 8. So at first, there were 24 participants in total. 11 were from the 7th grade, and 5 were from the 8th grade, and 8 were from the 9th grade. All the students present participated in the survey. So for the first item, even if I am well prepared for the English class, I feel anxious about it. There was a high number of agreeing responses, which also links this item with another one that also deals with preparation that also had a high number of agreeing responses. So in this specific group, the signs or possible signs of FLA may be related to preparation before class. The second one, I always feel that the other students speak English better than I do. Did have a lot of agreeing responses, but it also had a high number of neutral responses in comparison to the other one, to the first one. So it did not seem to be a very relevant factor in this group of students. For the third one, I can feel my heart pounding when I'm going to be called in English class. There were not many agreeing responses. Many of the participants disagreed. It did not seem a very relevant factor either. It was the one that most of the participants disagreed with. Then for number 4, I don't worry about making mistakes in the English class. It had a similar number of both agreeing and disagreeing responses. So it may indicate that some of the participants did relate to this statement, and also the next one, I feel confident when I speak in the foreign language class. Had very similar responses. There was barely a difference between the responses agreeing or disagreeing. And then for number 6, I get nervous and confused when I am speaking in my foreign language class. And in this statement, they did disagree more. There was a higher number of disagreeing responses. For number 7, I start to panic when I have to speak without preparation in the foreign language class, which is the one that I mentioned before, that also deals with preparation. Even though there was a high number of students that did disagree, there was a high number of students that did agree again. like in the first item. And for the final item number 8, it embarrasses me to volunteer answers in my foreign language class. It was the one with the highest number of neutral responses, so it didn't seem like a very relevant factor either. So in the conclusion, and to answer the research questions, this specific group of students didn't showcase high levels of or signs of foreign language anxiety. However, the ones that they did show related more to preparation, making mistakes, and nervousness, and not so much in, for example, comparison between peers. And that it also helps to develop new strategies or ways in which the anxiety that they may be experiencing be reduced, which are a supportive environment, and that teachers help students identify and challenge negative beliefs, also using mindfulness and anxiety management techniques that can even be techniques like deep breathing or visualizing, building confidence, giving positive and constructive feedback, and also helping students set realistic language goals for themselves, and also teach students to prepare before class, like reviewing content or reading beforehand. And it also shows the importance of the social and emotional factors that come into play in foreign language learning. So, the implications of the study are the importance of the emotional support in the foreign language programs, um, a supported classroom environment, again, that builds self efficacy, um, that teaching students that mistakes are a part of learning, and also fostering a risk-taking, reassurance, and confidence within language education so that students can be more confident and be more independent when learning. And the direction for can research can focus more on specific causes across different educational contexts, the effectiveness of specific methods, techniques, or approaches, the importance of mindfulness practices and positive self-talk, and see if they make a significant change, and a target evidence-based approaches that can, for example, tackle the specific signs of foreign language anxiety, because they can be divided in the anxiety specifically feeling when that students specifically feel when speaking or writing or in different types of activities. And that was all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alejandra, for your presentation. Now we'll have the questions. And so if you can stop sharing your
Okay.
screen. First, I will ask Ms. Carolina Ortiz to ask questions. Carolina, are you able to turn your microphone on?
I'm sorry. Yes, there you go. Thank you. Um, thank you, Alejandra, for your research. And I have a question about the levels of proficiency. You mentioned that you worked with seventh, eighth, and ninth grade students, right? And
Yeah.
you did this research, this study, you used Howard's suggestions. And so I was wondering if you were able to differentiate if the higher the level, the lower the anxiety, or were you able to to realize if there was a difference in the attitude of towards the language learning?
Yeah, like I applied the survey to the three grades together, and they have very mixed levels of proficiency. But I don't think there was much variation. Like it depends a lot of of on the items of the survey. Like the ones that were about peer comparison or embarrassment were very lower in comparison to the ones that deal with preparation.
So would this be related more to the age or the proficiency itself?
Mm, I think the age, because the it's a school in which every grade learns English, like they have English every day. So I think they start building confidence as time goes on.
And um, I was wondering if you were able to share your studies with the school where you did the research,
Yeah, I shared it with them. They said that they will take that into account.
the suggestions that you're making on your studies for future applications of the data. Maura, I don't know
Yeah.
which Mrs. Salimbeck.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Alejandra, for the presentation. I have a question. You mentioned that like the first question was related to how well prepared they felt, or if they felt anxious
Yeah.
when they were having their English class. So most of them said that they actually felt anxious. But then when you come to other questions like related to if they were worried about making mistakes or if they um, wanted to talk, for example, we didn't see that kind of answers. So were you able to analyze why they said that they were anxious, but then when you were asking more like other kind of questions, they said that they probably felt like confident in their English class?
Yeah, I do think that um, the signs of possible foreign language anxiety were present in like things like preparation and making mistakes. I think the in this specific group, comparison between peers or other factors are not as relevant because maybe they just don't compare themselves that much, or when they're making mistakes. There were also a high number of students that said that they disagree that they did not fear about making mistakes. Um, so it's I think it depends on what each of them focus on when learning a language.
Yeah, probably different aspects. It just called to my attention because like question one they felt anxious but then they were not worried about making mistakes, so it's kind of
Yeah,
different items have different results.
yeah.
Another thing is, how did you come up with this topic? It was something that you saw in the school that.
No, I started looking at different type of topics and also related to foreign language anxiety because I at first I found it interesting because I didn't know that there was a specific type of phenomenon or anxiety that was linked to foreign language. And at first I found the other survey that was 33 items, but since I thought that it was too long, I decided to go for the one that was shorter.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my second question. Like, how did you come up with this topic? Because we know you, and you were very quiet in the class. You were rather more reserved. Yeah, so it's interesting that your thesis also like you wanted to explore besides the length of the study maybe or the length of the research. Was this related to maybe how you approached your career, how you socialize also as well with the language, with the foreign language.
Yeah, I found it interesting because I at first I thought that anxiety just was something experienced with for when doing things, but then it turns out that there are different names for different type of anxiety or feelings of uneasiness and things like that.
Okay, so I suppose, are you finished, Mr. Finelli?
Yes, yes, I'm done. I'm just taking notes of the answers.
Okay, so Alejandra, first of all, congratulations. I think your topic is very important, especially considering how important it is to express oneself and be able to talk in a language class. Um, Considering all of the findings that you have and the implications that you eh, uh, presented, what would you say are the most important implications for teachers to take into account?
Um, I would say that the social and emotional factors do have a very significant effect in language learning and in learning in general.
And what recommendations would you give both teachers and schools to help address this issue?
To I would say to listen to students and to investigate on their own to see what's the real situation in their specific group of students in their specific institution to see how to address it.
Okay, well, and regarding research, what do you think would be the most interesting follow-up study for this one? If you were to do a master's program now, what would you focus on?
Maybe research about a specific technique um, to approach foreign language anxiety and see if it actually works or what are the results of it.
Well, thank you, Alejandra. Now we'll ask you to leave the room for a few minutes, and then we'll call you back when we've reached a verdict. And your defense, it is a very important topic, and we would like to congratulate you on your presentation and on your passing. Dígame, licenciada, you're now licenciada en lengua
Congratulations.
inglesa, and considering your written report and your presentation, you have an average of 5, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good job, Ale.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Continue